I want to talk about freedom of choice, which is a prominent feature in the Montessori environments around the world. And we want to provide children a choice of activities. We want to avoid telling children what activity to engage in or to direct them to do this or to do that. And here's the genesis of this feature of the Montessori classroom. Once, after forgetting to lock up the lessons at the end of the day, one of Montessori's teachers found that the children had just simply come in the next morning, unlocked the undone the cabinets which weren't locked, and were helping themselves to the materials and began working all on their own. And what she found to be equally amazing was that when they were finished with the activities, they returned them to their proper places. So from this, Montessori saw that the children were capable of choosing appropriate work for their own, on their own. And so free choice of activity became a vital part of her method and something that continues today. So as we'll see in our slides tonight of the beautiful Montessori classrooms from around the world, the properly prepared environment includes low shelving so that the children can have easy access to the materials and can be more independent as they act on their learning environment. So little children are capable of choosing their work, and they like to do it, they want to do it, but whereas movement is more of a biological need, freedom of choice seems to be a way we can provide for a more spiritual need. So I wanted to ask you, Mary Ellen, about that. Why is freedom of choice a need as opposed to just something children like to do?
Well, I think it has to do with the inner teacher of the child. The child has an inner cycle that tells him it's time to do this, it's time to learn that, it's time. And only in the context of being able to choose which activity is the child going to be able to fulfill the mandates of that inner teacher and fulfill his development at the right time in the right way. So it has to do with the brain as well as the heart.
Right. And of course we can't know what's going to be calling to the child. We have to let that happen.
I think this slide is beautifully illustrative of the fact that there's lots and lots of choices on those shelves, and the child is shown lessons in the beginning of the year, as the year goes by, of how to use all those things. But every single morning when a child comes to school, he's free to choose whatever he'd like to work with on those shelves. And he'll go to work, and he'll sometimes, as you were saying earlier, repeat it many, many times. Sometimes he'll do 3 or 4 things in the course of a morning, or maybe 5 or 7 things in the course of a morning. But it's under the direction of his inner teacher rather than the authority of the teacher. And I've often thought about it, you know, what would be our minds and our hearts if we learn to listen to our inner teacher and the voice of conscience rather than only the external authority telling us when to do it. You know, I think in Trevor Eisler's little video that many of you have seen on the Montessori method, he makes a really good point that sometimes a child wants to do a lot more than what we would expect. And if we just tell him do this and then we're done, he'll never express the fullness of what he's interested in and capable of doing.
These are hard lessons for adults to learn and teachers, because we have this innate tendency to feel like we have to direct them and tell them what to do and stop their work and you're finished now. And it can be very difficult, I think.
Well, if you haven't seen this little video I'm talking about, he tells the story of a little girl who was learning to do long division. And, you know, the teacher started out with, you know, maybe 5 digits and divided by 7 or something like that. And the child just kept adding digits to the dividend and adding digits and adding digits and adding digits. And pretty soon, the teacher brought her extra pieces of paper and Scotch tape. The child had pieces of paper taped together from the ceiling to the floor, because she didn't stop. She was interested. She was fascinated. How would we ever want to stop that? And it's only when we give them freedom of choice that we really see the fruits of this.
That's true.